video. So in this video, I'm going to be reacting to the rise, fall, and revival of West Coast hip hop. This video is by Beyond the Record. I've never reacted to one of their videos, but I'm interested in how they'll convey this information. But I'm interested in the topic in general. I'm an East Coast girly. Kendrick has been my favorite rapper since I was like 12 and I'm 26, or I'll say like 13. But I'm 26 now. But it was not because of West Coast, East Coast. It didn't really matter. I just liked his artistry is amazing. My second favorite was J. Cole, and he's from North Carolina, so it was just like whoever I liked, really. But yeah, this is a topic that I want to know about. So I'm excited to learn more, because the West has been having, or I mean last year, but the great year. For anybody that's interested, two things. So tomorrow I'm going to post my first gaming video, and I am so excited. It sounds so dumb and little, but I am excited because I don't know. My camera finally came in, my mic came in. I just feel like I got it all together. I know what I'm doing now. I done some test run videos with the current game I'm playing, which is God of War. But I'm gonna start a new game, Last of Us 2. I played the first one, amazing game. So I'm gonna start that tomorrow. So if you're interested, tune in, please. And I also have like a Patreon that I'm now gonna have a link for in the description. Where I'm gonna react to like music videos, might go over some I used to do this thing where I would go through some of my favorite songs, break down the lyrics, whatever. I'm gonna just put those over there. I'll still be reacting to music, but stuff that is gonna get copyrighted to the point where it might get blocked, I'm just gonna put it over there. Film trailers, any compilations with copyrighted Boondocks funny compilations people have wanted me to do, cartoon, Family Guy, all that stuff over there. And if you have any suggestions for me, DM me, comment in these comments or whatever. Just get into the video to see what they're talking about. Dr.
I'm
Dre.
gonna just need a moment of silence for this.
This was so cool. I wasn't there, but I watched it live on Amazon, and it was just it's just such a moment, bro. Just such a moment.
I see dead people.
Yeah. Nothing on that real. I don't want to get copyrighted, and mofos are sending lawsuits out this.
Debo, any rap nigga, he a free throw, man down, call the Amber Lamp, selling breed, bro. He a free throw.
Hip-hop is a genre defined by generations, eras, and especially location. Trends, movements, and regions take turns leading the charge, rising and falling almost as quickly as they begin. But in some cases, that isn't the end of the story. The West Coast has been home to countless classic albums, chart-topping smash hits, and unforgettable moments within
Tupac's so fine, bro. He's so fine. Was so fine. Ooh. Just had that vibe about something. And I said this in my why Joey Badass dissed Kendrick Lamar. It's something about him. I love intellect. I love a smart mofo. Listen, okay, he fine too, but adding that on top of it, like a chef's kiss, okay? Chef's kiss, very passionate about what he does. I love that.
in hip-hop culture. The legacy was initially built by the likes of NWA, Tupac, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and many more. However, this innovation was not without conflict. Despite breathing new life into hip-hop, death was a recurring curse that cut many lives and respected careers short. Betrayal was a common occurrence, and the lines between rival groups were frequently crossed. Legal trouble persisted around every corner for many, the environment that raised them setting their future up for seemingly unavoidable incarceration. Ultimately, the West Coast, for all its potential, would get in its own way due to gang violence, politics, jealousy, and jail time. Today, we'll be talking about the movements and events that helped set the stage for West Coast hip-hop's dominance. This isn't just a video about a certain style of music, this is a tale of life and death, and how one can't exist without the other. I hope you enjoyed the story of how the West Coast experienced the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, before bouncing back when it mattered the most. This is Beyond the Record. While many look towards artists like Ice-T and Too Short for the earliest examples of West Coast hip-hop, the first benchmark that put the region on the map came a little later. The year is 1987, and Compton is witnessing the birth of a revolution in the form of NWA. NWA's main goal with their music was to give the rest of the world a glimpse of their everyday life with no filter, the good, the bad, and the ugly of what their lifestyle was all about. real experiences they faced that refused to protect the innocence of listeners. Little did anyone know that NWA's mission statement would change the game forever. The group's debut studio album, Straight Outta Compton, released on August 8, 1988. NWA took the idea of self-expressionism to a new standard, refusing to sugarcoat anything. They were banned from MTV and targeted by local law enforcement, at one point even being sent threatening letters from the FBI. Despite all this, the album still sold an astonishing 1 million copies before its one-year anniversary. NWA was on top of the...
That's crazy. You got threatened by a group of rappers that you're sending... You're the FBI and you're sending rappers letters. I don't know exactly what the state of America was at that time. That was before I was even born. But I'm just saying, like, I feel like there was a lot of other things to worry about. That's what I said. I posted something today. I'll see if you want to see, like, details. The TikTok ban. And I'm just, like, in my head, like, I mean, like, there are so many other things to worry about other than this. What are we doing?
World, and it only took 2 years to go from meeting one another for the first time to becoming pioneers in hip-hop. However, as quickly as they rose, the group's crash landing was just as rapid. The first death of the story doesn't just cover one man's demise, but an entire group's goals and cause, those inspired by the question, what if? It wasn't long before problems started to rise. Ice Cube left only a year after Straight Outta Compton's release, as he felt cheated out of royalties despite writing...
I reacted to his diss track. What was it called? I don't know, but I reacted to it, and because I saw like a video on TikTok talking about like the like most lethal diss tracks, and I had to hit him up, Ether and Meet the Grams, and people were saying no, what his was like up there too, and I was like, ain't no way. I listened to that and I was like, ooh.
Writing half of the songs on the album. The rest of the group recorded disses with famous tracks like 100 Miles and Runnin' and Real Brothers. However, Cube wasted no time establishing himself as a solo artist. NWA, having just exploded onto the scene, had suffered a huge hit, whether they wanted to admit it or not. Cube was a vital part of the group's success, having written most of their hits. He decided to check out and focus on his own career, leaving them to regroup. 1990 and 1991 saw him release back-to-back albums, America's Most Wanted and Death Certificate, receiving critical acclaim for his raw, honest storytelling. If that wasn't enough, it was on Death Certificate that Cube included his famous diss record, the hit song, No Vaseline.
That's what it's
Today, No Vaseline is remembered as one of, if not the greatest diss track of all time. Cube's passion is evident throughout the track with sharp punchlines and booming, cinematic production. The shots thrown cut deep and even drew legal threats from NWA's manager Jerry Heller. Despite
also people been suing over the diss tracks. Okay.
Big mark of tragedy striking in the West Coast. NWA was forever fractured after the song was released, leaving everyone to pick up the pieces. Cube's star grew brighter as he basked in his newfound solo success. He also starred in the iconic film Boys in the Hood, expanding his resume into acting. The cracks continued to grow throughout NWA, wearing away at the remaining members' bonds with each other. Eazy-E was the leader of the group from the start, but his handling of his peers' contracts made them lose trust. Dr. Dre was fed up, realizing his and all the other guys' finances were being played with. It wasn't long after their second studio album in 1991 that the group finally disbanded. Eazy-E decided to focus on his solo career again, returning with an EP called 5150, Home for the Sick, a year after NWA's
Home for the Sick. Did he already know he was sick?
Death. Sadly, he passed away in 1995 due to complications from the AIDS virus. Many wondered what could have been if they had stuck together and continued to make history, changing music with every studio session. Eazy-E's charisma, Dr. Dre's forward-thinking production, and Ice Cube's writing was legendary. The heart of LA was never the same after the streets heard Straight Outta Compton. What could have been is a recurring theme throughout the West Coast's history, and this situation was no different, hitting the hip-hop community like a ton of bricks. But thankfully, the ending of one chapter will be the start of another. After leaving NWA and Ruthless Records, Dr. Dre was given the spotlight once he joined Death Row. After relocating to Long Beach and connecting with upcoming rapper Snoop Dogg, Dre began to make hits. The Chronic released on December 15, 1992, his first solo album debuting to widespread acclaim and turning into a measuring stick for the rest of hip-hop to use as comparison. The highlights were not only the game-changing production, but also the subject matter within the lyrics and the swagger that bled through the delivery. Now alongside Snoop Dogg, the two followed up The Chronic almost a year later with Snoop's debut studio album, Doggy Style. They had struck gold, finding the perfect partnership and crafting the perfect sound. Once again, the West Coast had rap in a chokehold. Both albums went multiple times platinum, breaking into a new level of
So
mainstream.
this was before? Was this before Tupac, or was this like all like kind of at the same time? I'm not sure. I don't, Tupac died before I was born, or let me see. Siri,
Uh-huh.
when did Tupac die?
Tupac Shakur died September 13th, 1996 at age 25 in University.
That man died 2 years before I was born. I thought it was the same year. Shit.
Rappers had not seen before. The style they crafted did more than just appeal to those living like them, crossing over into suburban audiences as well. The impact that Dre, Snoop, and their debut albums had on the genre cannot be understated. G-Funk had the airwaves in a chokehold, repurposing aspects of vintage funk from the 70s for a laid-back, almost psychedelic sound. The West Coast reached a fever pitch as the 90s rolled around, and it would soon recognize its figurehead, someone who considered himself not just a rapper, but a revolutionary. Tupac Shakur already had 2 albums under his belt by the time the mid-90s had arrived. Coming up through the scene with hip-hop group Digital Underground, Pac had a vision he was determined to share with other walks of life, whether they liked him or not. As an MC, Pac had caught the country's attention with his lyrical depictions of life as a young black man. His music dared anyone to address the elephant in the room, going right at uncomfortable truths that couldn't be hidden by lies that America loved to feed its populace. In response to being treated as a scapegoat, he simply pushed harder, refusing to be ignored and demanding for the country and world to wake up and look at the bigger picture. The way to the struggles of single mothers. Covering these sensitive topics while also having the ability to make feel-good hits like I Get Around is what made him so special. Pac was a jack of all trades, having an interest in theater and acting and refusing to be limited as a rapper. With his discography becoming greater with every passing year, 1996 is when his magnum opus was delivered to the masses. All Eyes on Me released on February 13th, carrying a tone of defiance, survival, and triumph. Exploring everything from his gangster persona to his vulnerabilities, the production is slick, filled with booming West Coast G-Funk beats crafted by Death Row's in-house producers Dr. Dre and Daz Dillinger. It's a party out evolution as an artist was cut short. Politics and the media continuing to emphasize that East versus West Coast rivalry helped propel the animosity past a point of return. Tensions between Death Row and Bad Boy Records defined the 90s, but it took away a star.
Oh, was that like because of the coast thing, or I just thought they didn't like each other? I didn't know it was because of West Coast, East Coast. I know that's what happened with like Tyler the Creator and A$AP Rocky, and then that's kind of how they became friends because they, like, I don't know, they settled the beef. And they became like best friends.
That could have catapulted hip-hop as a genre even further. September 7th, 1996 in Las Vegas would mark the beginning of the end. After an altercation at a hotel after a boxing match, Tupac met his fate at the hands of gunmen in a white Cadillac, receiving 4 shots and being pleased, scored a huge hit with Blow the Whistle. The Game, mentored by Dr. Dre and 50 Cent, dropped Hate It or Love It, an inspiring track that held on to the number 2 Billboard spot for 5 consecutive weeks before being nominated for 2 Grammys. Nipsey Hussle slowly built his name up.
Nipsey Hussle. Damn. He was really different.
In his local neighborhood with multiple mixtapes before finally beginning to pick up steam with the Drake collab called Killer and his commercial debut.
Oh. Interesting.
Debut single.
But he had a collab with Kendrick,
Hustle in the House. Despite rising artists and their burgeoning potential, the hip-hop world was paying full attention to the rise of the Dirty South. Southern hip-hop was making major waves with the likes of T.I., Jeezy, Gucci Mane, and Lil Wayne turning everything they...
Why they put G.I. Joe? Who did G... Hold on. Did he just put this white man and said Jeezy?
Southern hip-hop was making major waves with the likes of T.I., Jeezy, Gucci...
What is that man's name? G.I. something. G.I. Joe. It gotta be. G.I. G-Eazy. This man put... You know what? I like the video so far. So I'm not hating or nothing, but I'm just saying. This man is G-Eazy. Is that what he meant? Is G-Eazy from the South? Or he mean Jeezy. Well, okay. Well, this white man right here is from Oakland, California. So I think he meant Jeezy is from South Carolina. And he moved to Georgia as a toddler. So basically he's from Georgia. Not really like, whatever. But okay, I'm going to let this one slide, sir.
Cultivating a modest but devoted community of rap fans. These were purists
What's
who
backpack
still
rap?
appreciated conscious lyrics and championed artists like Lupe Fiasco, Common, and Kanye West.
I like Lupe Fiasco, but he just makes some like weird comments. And I'm not the type of person that if you say anything negative about Kendrick, I don't like you. But it's just like, I don't know. It's like when it has a certain vibe to it, and I'm just like, bro, you hating? Like, you are way too talented to be out here like hating or jealous or something like that.
Out and about, watching from the sidelines as other regions had their turn in the spotlight. However, the turn of the decade would prove to be a change in form. It was impossible to escape these beats, being dubbed the Ratchet Sound. A clear homage to Dr. Dre's G-Funk, Mustard dug up a time capsule and gave it a new polish and
Mustard.
shine, celebrating fueled by teen angst, rebellious attitudes, and a love for doing everything their
Ah,
own way.
Future.
Odd Future became the poster children for the youth of the 2010s. Tyler, the Creator, Earl Sweatshirt, Frank Ocean,
Oh, Earl Sweatshirt, so slept on, bro. He can rap his ass off. So can Vince Staples. So can Tyler, the Creator. So can Domo Genesis. Even I heard Frank Ocean on Sunday. He was giving him bars.
lyrics, offensive visuals, but also layered, immersive production.
Throwing
Genuine
up
bursts of
cockroaches.
creative triumph, matched with a double shot of vulgarity. Skaters, outcasts, and social rejects alike got hooked onto OF's abrasive approach to everything they did, from how they recorded to what they rapped about to what their music videos looked like, even how they performed. Punk energy was undeniable in Odd Future's presentation, and it drew more attention towards the young group. It wasn't something the rap game had ever seen before, and the fact it was happening in the West Coast, home to legends like Pac, Dr. Dre, Snoop, Eazy-E, it blew their minds. Old heads, journalists, even the United Kingdom attempt to stifle the movement Odd Future had created for themselves, but it was too late. The kids had caught lightning in a bottle and wouldn't let anything or anyone steal their shine. The West Coast had seen its fair share of artists, groups, and waves come and go. Stars would burn bright and suffer a brutal crash landing, leaving everyone around them unprepared to pick up the pieces. On one hand, it prevented stagnation and let the music shine for what it was in its prime. Usually, they were here for a good time, not a long time. But in 2012, the game had changed again, in the form of an album that today
And when he dropped control and touched his, dropped control and took the sensitive rapper back in his pajama clothes. Ha ha. Joke's on you, high five. I'm bulletproof. Your shots can never penetrate me. Penitell on the docky, boy, you been a fake. Something like that.
is unanimously considered timeless. Good Kid, Mad City, an album that not only put Kendrick Lamar on the map for the rest of the
Amazing
country,
album.
but also reestablished the West Coast as a region that could not
Bro,
be downplayed.
something's
Kendrick
going
gave
on
many
with my
hip-hop
shirt.
purists
Hold on.
flashback to the days of Straight Outta Compton, America's Most Wanted, and Tupacalypse Now. GKMC painted the vivid picture of the colorful, violent, and heartbreaking life that takes place not only in Compton, but in many parts of the West Coast. For every Kendrick, there are dozens of men and women who don't get to see their potential play out like he did. They get their lives cut short due to toxic upbringings, desperate decisions, and sometimes nothing at all, simply being in the wrong place at the wrong time. While more polished and less abrasive, Kendrick still brings a sense of authenticity and raw storytelling that is lacking in hip-hop to this day. The West Coast had found its next champion, and it was confirmed when a murderer's row of legends were on stage to hand Kendrick the keys, passing him the torch to carry on their legacy. Since Good Kid, Mad City's release, many things have happened that simply contributed to the West Coast's diversity and talent pool for rap. Kendrick obviously went on to become a major player in the hip-hop space, being considered a part of the modern Big Three for mainstream audiences, but California wasn't done making people recognize its greatness. In the time since GKMC's release, many other stars have broken out with their own style and aesthetics, still proudly
Schoolboy.
representing the
Schoolboy Q, Absol, J-Rock. Okay, so we just, you feel me? There's a lot, sir. Are we talking about just rappers? Isaiah Rashad. Like I said, Nipsey. I'm drawing a blank. Who else from
the
Cali?
West Coast, just like icons of the past. TDE's rise has been something of a phenomenon throughout the 2010s. Many refer to the label as an all-star team of artists who provide thought-provoking music detailing real-life struggles and experiences. They hold up to those expectations time and time again. One of the powerhouses on the label alongside Kendrick Lamar is Schoolboy Q. Having just dropped his most recent album, Blue Lips, back in March of this year, he's reminded everyone why he's an all-time hip-hop great. Despite his last album, Crash Talk, being released almost 5 years before Blue Lips, it didn't take long for him to gain momentum when hyping up a new release. Q is at a point in his career where he can look back on his accomplishments and feel satisfied.
What's up with these 5-year-long releases? Like, what was this something? Like, I never knew if, like, Kendrick just decided he was going to take a break or if he needed that time or whatever the case may be. Or was it the label that was doing it? Because I didn't know that Schoolboy Q's last album was the same type of thing. And I know that Doechii said she's had some issues, even though Doechii's not from Cali. She's from Florida, but, you know.
But every few years, he manages to craft a new body of work that puts us firmly in his shoes as he takes in the world around him. Q has reached veteran status in the rap game and has a unique perspective compared to other rappers. Having been rapping since 2007, he brings a laid-back and trippy sound that's true to his birthplace of South Central, while still pushing the envelope. He's made hits with the likes of 21 Savage, A$AP Rocky, Travis Scott, and Kanye West. Along with the experience, his catalog throughout the years demands respect, showing his evolution not only as an artist but as a man. On the flip side, he relives experiences that made him grateful for life, moments that made him want to be better. His stories range from the hard life in South Central to adjusting to newfound fame and becoming a father. Q is a bright spot in a sea of headlines featuring our favorite rappers aging bitterly, or losing years of hard work and respect from the masses for one reason or another. On top of having a top-tier catalog, Q and his label mate Kendrick would help form a supergroup with J-Rock and Ab-Soul, Black Hippie. Black Hippie was the all-star team of the all-star team that was TDE. Even though they never released a project together, their combined impact and influence on the game is undeniable. Alongside Q and Kendrick, another member of the group repping California is none other than Ab-Soul. Soul brings intricate wordplay into his raps, covering many topics from love to nostalgia to political rebellion. There's a sense of spirit.
He had a song with Rhapsody and Mac Miller that I like still play to this day. It's so good. I forgot what it's called though.
Terrorist threats, and the Book of Soul, exploring those themes even further. Soul has made music with lyrical powerhouses like Mac Miller and Action Bronson, while featuring for the likes of Danny Brown, Joey Badass, and Chance the Rapper. TDE's reach goes past the limits of the West Coast, having devoted listeners not just in Cali, but all over the country and world. With a rebellious mentality and cryptic yet lyrical dense subject matter, he's managed to cultivate a cult fanbase and a catalog of impressive albums. Long-Term Mentality, Control System, and Herbert are all projects that resonate heavily with the place Soul calls home, not only also pushing forward with his own sound, era, and movement. Soul's next project, Soul Burger, just released too, and it's another gem in a discography that's been nothing but consistent. As time has passed, we've seen conscious hip-hop in the mainstream take a back seat, but Soul continues to create lyrical riddles and puzzles that we can all learn from. Outside of Odd Future and TDE, California was still popping during the 2010s. Shoreline Mafia's sound was a throwback and yet something completely new for the youth, consisting of OGZ, Phoenix Flexin, Rob Vicious, and Master Kato at the time,
I don't know who these people are. I ain't gonna lie. Who?
who would become their main producer. The rest is history. They took the classic laid-back West Coast energy and modernized it, creating hits like Bands, Caribbean, None Major, and Musty. Somehow, they managed to perform at Rolling Loud without even signing to a major. From 2016 to 2020, they built a core fanbase, stacking up a catalog of bangers, even signing to Atlantic Records. California was rocking with Shoreline all over, but of course, all things have to end eventually. Shoreline released their debut album Mafia Business in 2020, only to split up and go their separate ways for a while. OGZ and Phoenix Flexin pursued solo careers after the breakup, continuing to establish their legacies on their own. While this was tame compared to the West Coast tales of the past, it was still a shame to see such a promising act break up. Thankfully, this wasn't the end, and California was able to see a reconciliation. After performing together in Hollywood, OGZ and Phoenix Flexin got the band back together at Vince Staples either. From his early days with Odd Future to his breakout solo work, Big Fish Theory is widely regarded through Greedo. Greedo can be defined by two things: emotional transparency and limitless sonics. What results from that is unique music that spans from the classic trap aesthetic to R&B, psychedelic funk, even punk rock. Greedo wears his heart on his sleeve, brutally honest and relatable with the tales he tells being pulled straight from his own life. Having been rapping since
Jesus, what is
2010,
going
it's clear
on?
his
My
influence
fucking
pushes past
shit.
Cali, as many artists have been a part of their sound to Greedo, who pushed the limits of what could garner a fanbase in hip-hop. If the artistic vision wasn't enough, Greedo's work ethic takes his appeal over the top. With 6 studio albums under his belt and countless mixtapes, he's proven his love for the game over and over again. Before he was incarcerated, he recorded over 3,000 songs, still able to release projects from prison and keep his name relevant in the music space. With many of the artists of the past decade sacrificing quantity over quality, it's a nice change to see Greedo break that cycle despite the amount of music he makes. No project sounds the same, each one having its own journey of sounds and ideas throughout the runtime. Greedo is a legend not just to the West Coast, but to the rap game in general, and he's someone
I would have to check him out because I don't know anything about him.
who has worked for their flowers every step of the way. Despite his legal issues, he's managed to succeed in spite of them and grows his fanbase every year as a result. Larry June is a name you may not have heard yet, but you will soon. The San Francisco native had a father who pursued music, so June naturally followed in his footsteps. Having been rapping since the mid-2000s, June even dropped out of school to take it seriously, grinding for years until he began to receive recognition. His catalog is particularly extensive, including collaborative mixtapes with seasoned veteran producers like TM88, Harry Fraud, Cardo, and The Alchemist. If anyone is certified by the most
Alchemist,
knowledgeable guys in the game, it's Larry June. Larry makes social mobility and securing generational wealth the main course of his subject matter. In a world where the airwaves are dominated by ego, vanity, and hedonism, it's refreshing to see an artist focus on the bigger picture. Larry isn't driven by the need to strike back against rivals or profit off his community in a negative way. He wants his family to strive and prosper, which is the most relatable and genuine thing in rap today. He owes his ascent to years of hard work, determined to hand greater opportunities and passive income down to his son. Compared to the stories told during the height of gangster rap, it's certainly inspiring to see a rapper break the cycle and promote positivity and topics the youth can benefit from: community, business literacy, generational wealth, the list goes on. Alas, the 2010s weren't a decade without the same tragic events that have seemingly plagued West Coast hip-hop since its inception back before the century's turn. Sadly, the biggest example of this is Nipsey Hussle. Nipsey continued his grind from the 2000s, slowly building up a rabid fan base that respected him not just as an artist, but as a man. He was well respected in his community and began to receive his flowers as he broke ceiling after ceiling. His 2018 album Victory Lap had a fitting name, representing and reaping the rewards after a decade plus of hard work proving himself to the game. Nipsey was more than a rapper. The man had given himself and a lot of his earnings to the community that helped raise him. He looked out for people and made sure his home was a better place for the generation that came after. People respected his craft, but it was his heart that made people remember him forever. And like many of the greats that came before him, he was unfortunately taken from us before his work was done. On March 31st, 2019, Nipsey was shot at least 10 times in front of his own clothing store in South Central Los Angeles. Eric Holder, being challenged on his pride by Nipsey over rumors of police cooperation, decided to take things too far. He received life in prison, but no punishment will ever be enough to fully make up for the void he left on the city. Nipsey was a pillar for the people in his area, and it broke hearts seeing his life end tragically. Victory Lap is still held up today as a phenomenal album showcasing the growth and development he made while on Earth. Despite his life being cut short a year after its release, the album and his entire career remains in the hearts of LA. Another fallen legend that remains in the hearts of people not just on the West Coast, but worldwide, is Draco the Ruler. Draco the Ruler is widely regarded as an all-time great, with cosigns and acknowledgments from hip-hop royalty. DJ Mustard exposed
Yeah, I don't know who this is either. Am I out the loop?
hard-nosed pictures of life in South Central and Los Angeles. With an effortless laid-back flow and treasure chest of classic projects to his name, mixtapes like I Am Mr. Mosley 1 and 2, Cold Devil, and especially Thank You for Using GTL, a collection of phone calls recorded from the jail.
Not thank you for using GTL. That's wild, bro. That's wild. If you know, you know.
Altitude in the industry. Unable to be stopped, relentless to keep up the grind, and his raw energy shining throughout the audio. During the once-in-a-lifetime festival in Los Angeles, Draco was stabbed in the neck during an altercation backstage, throwing everything into pandemonium. His mother gave more insight, detailing how dozens of masked men ambushed Draco and his team, leaving them in a precarious position before taking his life. Legends like Snoop Dogg, 50 Cent, and Ice Cube were all preparing to headline the festival, but canceled out of respect. They and many other prominent figures in hip-hop called for peace, the list of rappers dying young, growing exponentially every year. In spite of death, his work shines on, whether it's solo or with Ralphie the Plug and Stink Team. In all aspects, it looks like the West Coast has entered a second prime in the world of hip-hop. With only a few highlights in the tumultuous decade that were the 2000s, the way things are now makes the comparison night and day. Not Like Us has put the classic West Coast sound to mainstream audiences' ears, and its music video shows just how much of a presence the region
And
holds,
GNX.
not only in music but pop culture in general. Kendrick's pop-out event on Juneteenth was a collection of huge names that have a regular place in national headlines, and represented the moment of unity that cannot be replicated. Despite now representing PG Lang, Kendrick linked up with old associates like Top Dawg and Black Hippie at both these events, showing people that outside forces can't break West Coast bonds like they used to. Truth be told, the full story of West Coast rap can't be packed into a video this short, and if you're interested in a video going deeper into the full story, let us know in the comments below. Multiple hotspots within California are home to burgeoning young talent ready to shine through with their own sounds and swag. Underground artists of every style and flavor are seeing the fruits of their labor, reminding everyone that an organic rise to the top is still possible. Artists like Larry June, Westside Boogie, G
Westside
Perico,
Boogie, dope. He dope.
and more are all shining as a result of hard work, proving the long road is worth traveling. One can only hope that they reach their full potential without the burdens that past artists in their position faced. In a region filled with ghost stories of broken bonds and spilled blood, anyone that pays attention will gain a world's worth of wisdom. The West Coast has entered a new era, enjoying the full-circle renaissance that shines hip-hop's light back on their young, promising talent. Currently leading the charge is none other than Kendrick, who honestly isn't just leading the charge for LA, but hip-hop as a whole. He comfortably sits at the top of the hip-hop pyramid as the unquestionable, undisputed voice of the culture. Breaking the mold of past artists who were centerpieces to the scene, he hasn't let gang violence or betrayal derail him. Kendrick remains focused on the messages he provides through his music, living quietly with a close circle when his work is done. The entire West Coast is united in rallying behind him, heralding him as their emblematic representative. He never wastes space or words on social media. Every word he makes is a statement, sparking discourse and sending shockwaves throughout the industry. He's the definition of letting his art speak for himself. The anticipation was already sky high throughout 2024 after Kendrick's record-breaking beef against Drake. It needs no explanation, but after a decade's history of subliminal shots in their lyrics, they went all out from March to May, genuinely aiming for the neck with wild career-ruining allegations. It was hip-hop history, and Kendrick took the crown with the grip that Not Like Us has had on the airwaves. After teasing everyone with the snippet in the Not Like Us video, rumors and excitement spread like wildfire. Was a new album on the way? When was he going to drop? Just a few weeks ago, Kendrick changed the game again with the flick of the wrist. The release of GNX is a surprise one, throwing out a teaser minutes before the actual album. It's the purest example of him letting his art speak for himself. No promo, no earlier announcement, a new album just like that. Similar to GKMC, this most recent project feels like Kendrick's attempt at a love letter to the sound that raised him. However, this time around, instead of using the LA influence to tell his story for the first time, Kendrick's perspective comes from the throne he sits on, reflecting on the lessons he's learned along the way and not mincing words or having apologies for anyone who feels a way about him. It's a full circle moment and it's beautiful. GNX features very strong 90s and 2000s West Coast influences.
I still need the song from the snippet. I'm not trying to be like greedy. You feel me? You've been feeding, but like you keep teasing mofos, bro. What's up with that, Kendrick?
DJ Mustard, the Cali natives wearing their pride on their sleeve. They didn't disappoint, with Roddy providing layered vocals on Dodger Blue and Mustard co-producing on Hey Now and TV Off. Debbie Deb's vocals tying in with the beat to Squabble Up helps bring us back to when G-Funk and the dance influence was at the forefront of hip-hop. Dayra Barrera, Lefty Gunplay, Dodie Six, and Wally the Sensei being on the album stays true to the West Coast sentiment, all representing a different area or group of people that helped define the region. Kendrick did something.
Peso, hit a J3, I ain't hear them names. Young Threat.
With previous A-list collaborators in Taylor Swift, Metro Boomin, Travis Scott, etc. However, he used this apex moment of popularity to put on for upcoming LA rappers, sacrificing a part of his own moment to show love to the streets. Maybe the biggest West Coast homage comes on Reincarnated, featuring a sample of Tupac's Made Brothers as well as a strong Pac-influenced flow. Kendrick's love for Pac has been well documented throughout his career, through interview clips, Pac being included on TPAB, and more. Reincarnated's production, subject matter, and delivery is clearly a tribute, which is perfect due to how much fans discuss Kendrick in the same breath as Pac nowadays. GNX feels like another milestone not just for the West Coast, but for the rap game in general, and with hints from collaborators and fan speculation of a whole second album potentially on the way, who knows how much further Kendrick is going to take it.
Take it all the way. Take it all the way to the finish line, past the finish line. Keep running. Oh. Okay, I can't wait for this next album. I can't wait for the Grammys. I can't wait for the Super Bowl. I can't wait for the tour that I'm not going to, but I'm gonna be there in spirit, yo. So, very, very interesting video. Like I said, he had one slip up with the G-Eazy thing. It's okay, because the rest of the information I feel like he provided was very informative, very good. The stuff that I knew, other than that one moment, was valid and, on point. And then, opened me up to some new artists. And it's very interesting to think about the tragedy being like why there were low points in the culture over there. I mean, obviously it makes sense because, you know, these like prolific, profound artists, like dying is that has to be. I mean, it was heavy on the entire country, at least of the people that listen to these people's music. So I can only imagine the area that they're from. Like, bro, something happened to Missy Elliott, Timbaland, Pusha T, Pharrell. Oh, Virginia would be sick. Okay, you know, like I said, Trey Songz, Chris Brown, they debatable. It depends on how you feel, I guess, with it. But we have some people like, you know, so I can only imagine how that affects like a community, especially when these people are the people like Tupac. Like, I don't know if Tupac's Tupac because he's gone, or if Tupac was always Tupac. You feel me? Do you feel what I'm saying? I don't know if you do. But yeah, this was very interesting. I was, you know, I enjoyed the video, so thank you. Y'all tell me what you think. Y'all like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you on the next one.